Edward Nashton. Nashton? Or Patrick Parker? Wait, which one is it?
You tell me.
Hello, and welcome to Foot the Bill, where we audit your favorite media. My name is Trey, and today we're looking at the Batman, or more accurately, the Man in Green. Actually, I've got a better name in mind. John Riddler! Riddle boy, what with the bombs and such. This designer frames wearing nerd is like a crossbeat between John Kramer of Saw fame, John Doe of Seven fame, and John Zodiac of In fame. And I'm into it. Seems like the rest of Gotham is too. This big city terrorist certainly has a cavalcade of hijinks for our would-be world's greatest detective. Does he have the fat stacks to pull tricks on Flappy Bats? But first, the rules.
Don't forget the rules.
Shut the f*** up!
No utilities get charged for. All purchases pertinent to our character's decisions are calculated in the year depicted. For the Batman, that's 2019, because Batman tells us Halloween is on a Thursday. Since there's a lot of overlap between the Riddler and other constructivist villains like Jigsaw or John Doe, I'll be calculating the purchases of the Riddler as it pertains to his traps and terroristic deeds. But because he's also such a showman, at the end of the video, I'll calculate the total damages dealt to Gotham City of his esoteric spree. If this video does well, and if you subscribe right now, I might consider following up with Batman, given how ad hoc and homemade this iteration of the Caped Crusader was. So, does the Riddler's cryptic lifestyle give him the leeway to afford such a bombastic revenge fantasy? Or do John Riddleman's schemes leave him bereft of cash in a cashless, morally bankrupt society? Let's do the Riddler's accounting and find out. The movie opens to a loud title card followed by some quiet voyeurism. These appear to be digital rangefinder binoculars. Let's charge for those. All right, what do we got here? Nice house, some nuns. What is that, a ninja? Not so stealthy now, are you, Red Hood? Oh God, he's killing him. Oh, no, he's fine, never mind. A little while later, we're inside with Dawn. That's Dawn, the current mayor of Gotham. Dawn got his head caved in at the debate last night. Not a good look, Dawn. Also not a good look is our masked vigilante caving in your head. Our head spelunker is the Riddler, and he presents himself as a guy keen on not leaving behind evidence. I assumed he arrived via that skylight, which would make him a Riddler on the roof, hell-bent on punishing rich men. Our little green man is decked out in a winter combat mask, a used field jacket, a used hoodie, some used pants, some used combat boots, and some very fresh Lamache TT glasses from Moscot. Those are not cheap, but damn do they look good and familiar.
I am a winner. I am a winner. I am a winner.
I have no idea what that tool he's using is, so we'll hold off on charging for that for now. But I do know what his binding agent is. Duct tape! Elsewhere, an unseen voice tells us it's Thursday, October 31st. That means it's 2019, like I said in the intro. Our drifter takes us on a melancholy tour of Gotham as people party down hard in the rain. Also down hard seems to be the city of Gotham. Crime be everywhere. Watch as this out-of-work lime resorts to stealing to pay the bills. It's getting so bad that people are dressing up as bats and beating up flash mobs. That's messed up, yo.
Please don't hurt me.
Batman, that's Batman, has just been called up by Jim Gordon, that's Jim, to help out with the aftermath of our crime from earlier. The rest of the police don't seem too jazzed about it, but I've never been one to read a room. Wait, is that the FBI? The FBI is just cool with this? You know what, actually, I shouldn't judge. Gotham City, I give you hark! Enduring affluence deepens anger. Class hatred engrossing. Or headache. Batman starts looking around the room, taking in the subtle evidence our killer left behind. What is that, blood? Paint? Blood? It looks more like paint to me. We'll charge for that. What was not left behind was the mayor's thumb, and apparently...
He was alive when it was cut off.
Ew. We don't see what was used to remove said thumb, but I have a feeling it'll pop up later. The killer left a card, that's nice. And hey, it's addressed to the Batman. The card includes a riddle and a cipher. Fun! Unfortunately, Commissioner Pete, that's Pete, is breaking up the party. Asshole. That's okay. Batman figures out the riddle anyway.
What does a liar do when he's dead? He lies still.
As Batman gets escorted out, it's revealed that Don's son, the ninja from before, found his dead thumbless papa in recline. Batman proceeds to stare the kid down like he's trying to recruit him, and we're whisked away from this traumatic mansion. Someone, please tell Batman it's not okay to stare at kids that long, no matter how rich you are. Elsewhere, Bruce Wayne, that's Bruce, is doing the dirty work of copying over all of Batman's recordings for the night. Must be like his goth secretary or something. I hope Batman is paying him well. Certainly covers the eye makeup budget. That office cannot be OSHA compliant though. Ooh. Fun fact, I spoke to some friends in the Department of Defense, and they tell me that these contact lenses are real and pretty dang cool. Technology's been around for a while, but I'll save that for when we build the bat half of this movie. Only riddles for now. Anyway, Bruce's notes suggest to us that his boss has been punching the poor around for about 2 years. On the TV, the murdery news has broke, and it rings reminiscent. Apparently, Bruce's parents were also giggity gunned down 20 years ago, almost to the day. Alfred, that's Alfred, descends to help out Bruce because he looks sleepy, and that's what friends do. Alfred is shocked to find out their boss has fan mail.
The killer left this for the Batman.
But he loves puzzles and decides to help out with the cipher. God damn, I want to live in this house. Alfred's intellect is too bright for Bruce, however, who has to put on sunglasses just to deal.
That's interesting.
Indeed. Bruce gets a clue, and the two figure out that the cipher only needed to be used to block out certain letters, giving us our next piece of the puzzle aptly named for us. Darkness readily invites villainous effervescence, or Drive, the 2011 aesthetic drama Drive, starring Ryan Gosling. Back in Gotham, Jim and the Bat raid Don's garage for the missing DVD of Drive. Hey, Mr. Mayor, nice selection of cars.
Guess it's good to be the mayor.
Yeah, there's definitely no corruption here. Batman spies the target vehicle, thanks to the bloodied tool sticking out of the wheel. That is one intense pair of shears. Inside the car, Norman Batts spots the prize.
Thumb drive.
Very good. The thumb drive is encrypted, but Dum Dum left the encryption key attached to the drive. This is not how we secure our hardware, people. Do not leave your passwords or fingers hanging around for anyone to unlock. Unlocking the drive reveals photos of Dawn, you remember Dawn, with an unknown lady of the evening, and then promptly sends all those images to every newspaper and media outlet in Gotham. Good job, Jim.
Jesus. I can't help this.
You think? Rule number 2 for cybersecurity. If you're plugging in an unknown drive to your computer, make sure it's in airplane mode. No incoming or outgoing connections. These photos imply the existence of a DSLR with a telephoto lens, so bill it. Gordon recognizes the nightclub in the photos, and Batman heads over to do what he does best: punch poor people. Eventually, the proprietor of the club comes over.
How you doing? I'm Oz.
Oz, that's Oz, invites Batman upstairs, but purportedly does not know who is in the photo. His drug-dealing waitress, however, does. Man, with the way she's staring, maybe she's got camera contact lenses too. Batman puts the squeeze on Oz, but, well...
Look, I'm just the proprietor, okay?
I told you. Oz tells Batman to look elsewhere, so Batman decides to stalk Oz's waitress because that's healthy. Healthy boundaries. Turns out our mystery girl is roommates with the waitress. And deepening the mystery, the waitress is slipping into something a bit more criminal. Jesus, she has a wall of weapons? Indeed, it would appear the waitress has armed the skeletons in her closet. That's one way to avoid therapy. The waitress slips out the window, hops onto her motorized bicycle, and putters off into the night. Batman follows back to Dawn's fancy home. Someone really needs to put a lock on that skylight, and the waitress starts breaking into Dawn's safe, as if the family hasn't suffered enough. Nice kit, though. Maybe she'll get her own foot the bill one day. Batman shows up and does what he loves most, playing fisticuffs with the poor. He also nabs what the waitress was after, her roommate's passport. Heading back to her apartment, the place has been ransacked and invaded by cats. Oh, and Annika, you remember Annika, the mystery woman, is missing. A missing mystery woman. And the news helps the Riddler out with his Twitch streaming career. Our TikTok villain shows off his newest catch, the Commissioner. Pete, you remember Pete, is currently enraged in a rat cage maze, and John Riddleman has promised he won't be the last. Neat, I call this this puzzle really another trap regarding a corrupt law enforcer? Or rat race? We'll get a closer look at this setup soon, so for now we'll just charge for Riddler's cell phone, the rat cage, and those hamster tunnels. Batman confirms the waitress's poverty and decides to dox her. The waitress's real name is Selina, and Batman blackmails her into his spying scheme before heading to the morgue to check out that stiffy that was once Police Commissioner Pete. Turns out Pete was injected with arsenic, a relatively cheap rat poison, but that's hardly the most interesting thing about this murder. Along with the maze, the Riddler had a message. An acrylic maze hides another cipher in UV ink. We also get a better look at the extra cage materials and mounting hardware. Cool build, dude. More photos are released with this murder as well, showcasing Pete being a little drug dealer. Oh, nutty, nutty. Another letter to the Batman reveals yet another riddle.
Follow the maze until you find the rat. Bring him into the light, and you'll find where I'm at.
Not really sure if that's a riddle so much as cryptic instructions, but whatever. Who am I to judge art? Back at Batman's abandoned apartment, I guess, he's hooking Selina up with his special contact lenses. She senses she's the bait for whoever is pulling the strings, and she's right, homie don't give a flap. Selina strolls up into the secret club inside the club and starts spotting familiar faces. Attorneys, city council members, cops, comptrollers, before finally settling on District Attorney Gil Coulson. Gil, that's Gil, is a nervous wreck.
People are all a little on edge.
Oh, honey, I live on the edge.
Gil introduces half the DA's office to Selina, then proceeds to trauma dump all over her. Gross, Gil. Gross. He's nervous about the rat that turned on Salvatore Maroni becoming public, and the Riddler seems to be knocking heads until someone spills the rat pellets. Selina gets agitated and goes vigilante on her own business, but is interrupted by Carmine Falcone, the undisputed reigning mafioso of Gotham. Oh, and Oz is there too. Hi, Oz. Selina is shooketh and logs out of the call, while Gil pursues her to the street. He offers her a ride, but yeah, nah, I think someone's in your car, man. Rule number 3 of cybersecurity, always check your back seat. Gil proceeds to get jumped by Green Man in the car, and gets locked into some sort of ratcheting neck device.
Just hold still.
The next day, Bruce, you remember Bruce, is headed to a funeral for the mayor when Alfred says he solved the latest cipher. You are El Rata Alada.
Rat with wings?
It's slang for pigeon. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah.
Cool. The funeral is pretty packed, complete with pro-Riddler protesters. Hell yeah. Bruce tries to jump Falcone, you remember Falcone, before getting jumped by mayoral candidate Bella Real. All this business is really putting the fun in funeral. Bruce Wayne mad dogs the half-orphan from earlier in the film when a commotion outside prompts him to try and kidnap the fatherless child. Down, Bruce. Some jackass had the balls to crash the party, and that jackass happens to be Gil. You remember Gil. Our runaway model is sporting an SUV dappled in cryptic paint, and a reason to flee. The room clears. Pretty sure Bruce just stole that kid, and Batman shows up to handle the situation. What a situation it is. Behold, our newest puzzle. Ooh boy, ouchie tech, circuits, an oppressive undercarriage, and torturous unaliving research encapsulated, or haute couture. You see, Gil's necklace isn't just decorative, it's explosive. We've got a ratcheting neck brace closed with a combination lock. A timer sits dead center, wired into some flashing LEDs and electronics. Those LEDs have a purpose, by the way, as they're wirelessly syncing to another device nearby. Beneath that LED are what look like 2 sticks of TNT, but I'm more inclined to believe are C4 charges shaped to point directly at Gil's throat. And we should take a moment to talk about that. You see, TNT is a regulated explosive that can be bought under very specific circumstances, typically demolition. The Riddler has so far not shown any capacity for being a demolitions guy. I don't get the vibe he's in construction is what I mean. C4, on the other hand, is cheap, domestic, and can be homemade, and is stable until detonated. Now, how do we charge for the Riddler's haute couture collar without telling you, the viewer, how to make C4 at home? By telling you it costs $238.22 and refusing to elaborate. A cell phone in Gil's hand is ringing away as the card taped to his chest clearly points out. Answering the call, we're treated to the Riddler, who is absolutely jazzed to see Batman. Besties! On his chest is a small box with LEDs that match Gil's necklace. Now this tells me the two devices devices are synced up, possibly to indicate a failsafe function in case one or the other is disconnected. I can't say for sure, but I can charge for the same components. Oh hey, it turns out the Riddler is live!
Get up! You deserve to be dead after what you did! You hear me?
Wow, I think the Riddler might actually be the Redditor. Well, the Redditor has a challenge for Gil. Answer me these riddles 3, and ye shall be free from a fate fiery. Gil acquiesces and starts racking his hungover brain for answers. He has 2 minutes to solve all 3 riddles. Good luck! It can be cruel, poetic, or blind. But when it's denied, it is violence you may find.
Justice. Huh? The answer's justice.
Hey, is Batman allowed to help? All right, whatever, correct answer. Riddle number 2! If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye? Again, this one seems to be less of a riddle and more Gil's under-the-table salary for being a shady little piece of shit, which in this case comes out to...
How much? 10 grand? 10 G's?
Dude's making over $100,000 a year in cash to not prosecute cases handed to him. You know, I decided to go hunting and found out that your average district attorney is pulling in around $85K nationwide, but in cities like New York or Chicago, could be hauling in double that. So he's getting his salary tax-free in bribes. Look, I'm not saying the Riddler has a point. I am wondering why a guy making that much money chooses to dress the way that he does, however.
Okay, don't lose your head, Mr. Coulson.
Riddle number 3!
Last riddle.
Since your justice is so select, please tell us which vermin you're paid to protect. The Riddler drops a bombshell, and demands to know the name of the rat being protected by the city. And boy howdy, Gil does not have enough spine to answer that question. Actually, I'm pretty sure Gil has no spine left at all anymore.
4, 3,
Bye, Gil. So Batman wakes up in a hefty police detention center surrounded by what has to be every cop not currently guarding a public school and somehow manages to punch and glide his way out of the building. Phenomenal. Later that night, he meets up with Jim to apologize and hash out a new plan. I am seriously starting to think you're trying to get this guy fired, Batman. The amount of extrajudicial shakedowns you're having him commit is astounding. Although, in hindsight, I'm not sure who's left to prosecute Jim, so maybe we just strike while the iron's hot. The two decide that El Rata Alada must be found, and the best way to do that is to hunt down the second biggest mobster in Gotham, Oz the Penguin. Turns out Oz is working with a drug lab that should have been shut down when Maroni was arrested, but shocker, it wasn't.
Biggest drug bust in GCPD history was a fraud.
Yeah, probably. Drugs are really popular, Jim. Dear FBI agent Samantha, hey, it's me. I just want to clarify that I don't condone drug use. I'm just stating drugs are, in fact, popular. If drugs weren't popular, why does Coca-Cola have a deal with the DEA to import over 100 metric tons of coca leaves from South America every year? Is it really just to preserve the flavor? Sincerely, Kitten Arcader. Anyway, Oz's party is crashed by Selena, you remember Selena, who's out for revenge. She uses a fucking motorcycle chain to beat the shit out of Oz's goons and starts hauling off cash. Batman hops down to say hi and she unzips a bag holding the dead body of her roommate Annika. From thence, the gunfire begins.
Hey, vengeance! You think you can come after my money, huh?
And from the alley, an engine begins to rev. Fire blossoms into the night as a machine of pure adrenaline begins to pummel its way towards a now fleeing penguin. You know what, this chase is a bit extensive and it's a little off our plot, so I'll just summarize here. Some car stuff happens, and eventually Batman catches Oz. Oz is interrogated by Batman and Jim. They think he's El Rata Alada, to which he responds,
It's like the worst Spanish I ever heard. What?
Jesus! No habla español, fellas?
Do me a favor, shithead, shut up!
Huh, you know, Oz has a good point. A rat with wings doesn't sound like a pigeon or a penguin. It sounds like a bat. Batman takes this raging clue to the web where it turns out You Are El Rata Alada was a punny website leading to a shady chat room with the Redditor. And yeah, I checked. The website has since been seized by the GCPD. Bummer. A few chit-chats later, and Riddler realizes his puzzle is a little too complex for bats and gives him another hint.
I grew up from a seed, tough as a weed. But in a mansion, in a slum,
I'll never know where I come from.
Jim and the Bats head over to the burnt-down Wayne orphanage, leaving Penguin to waddle home.
You goddamn sons of bitches!
Some green paint welcomes them to the orphanage, and the two follow the trail inside. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you a convoluted mess I call investigative nuance. Here exists really incriminating topics. At least no one's combusted this evening. Or inheritance. The paint is fresh, as are all those overdoses. Fun! Down the hall, music draws the two into the theater. A big old projector is playing footage of Bruce Wayne's dad during his mayoral campaign. Some paint on the wall calls out Wayne's endowment as a big old lie and suggests his next target.
Jesus, his next victim is Bruce Wayne.
Back at Wayne Tower, Alfred is popping open a package. Bill for those 3 stamps, first of all, and the shipping envelope inside, as well as that black ribbon holding a fireproof envelope and a small package in Riddler's green. That box has a beat to it, and one we should all be familiar with. It's a bomb! We don't know if the bomb is remotely activated or set to a timer, but we know that he doesn't need to purchase any new materials for explosives. He's all set there. Alfred gets a very rapid suntan, and Bruce Wayne looks absolutely wrecked. A homemade card from the Riddler to the Batman says, "I'll see you in hell," and Bruce finally starts putting the pieces together. The Riddler gets impatient and releases a new video spilling all of the Wayne's dirty laundry. Thomas Wayne had a journalist killed for trying to write a story about Martha Wayne's mental illness. Also, apparently Martha's family is descended from the Arkhams? Bruce decides he needs to go talk to Falcone about all this. Falcone confirms that, yeah, his pop came around to ask Carmine to go, well...
I want you to put the fear of God in this guy.
What did Falcone get in return, I wonder? Out in Gotham, Batman is getting called up to an emergency meeting. Looks like Selina captured that corrupt day cop. She's got proof he was involved in Annika's murder, and importantly, what Annika knew. She overheard the mayor say Falcone was the rat who brought down Marone and entered Gotham into a new criminal paradigm.
The Falcon has wings too.
Falcone is the rat.
It would seem so, yes, though not quite in the role one would think.
We work for him. Everybody does. Through and all.
Thomas Wayne's renewal fund, meant to rebuild Gotham, was the piggy bank of every corrupt official in Gotham, elected or otherwise. Falcone isn't just the rat.
Falcone's the mayor. He's been the mayor for the last 20 years.
Well, I guess we know what Thomas Wayne paid Falcone in the end. Batman resolves to get Falcone alive and bring him into the light to finish the Riddler's game. After some intense negotiations, Batman escorts Falcone out of the club and into the light. Suddenly, a shot rings out. Falcone's been hit! He's dying in Batman's arms, and the next layer of the game settles in around him. He brought the rat out into the light, just as the Riddler asked. Batman spots the Riddler in a window above the street, and the police swarm. Batman kicks his way in, and we are greeted with, yep, this looks like a terrorist's apartment. The left half of the kitchen appears to be taken up by chemistry stations, while the right half is dominated by electronics, some more chemistry, and soldering stations. In the apartment proper, we've got a lot going on. This whole room is very 7 Jigsaw Rage Cage inspired. Poking out the windows, the aforementioned rifle, what looks like it might be a Winchester Model 70 with a scope attached, and a stand. Batman walks us through the apartment, but we don't really rest our gaze on anything specific, just enough to note that our Riddleman is no longer here. Don't worry, we'll come back to this room. As the cops roll in and take careful inventory of the scene, word comes back to the squad. There's a weirdo getting coffee across the street. What a freak! Get him! What kind of a freak drinks coffee?
I just ordered a slice of pumpkin pie.
You monster! We learn that this character is Edward Nashton, or Patrick Parker. Probably neither, but we do have 2 different addresses. I'm going to assume one of these is living quarters, while the other, the one that we just saw, is his little terror dome. Bill for both! We find out later on that his plans have been in place for a few months, so we'll charge 3 months rent at both of these shitty walk-ups. Current prices for rent in areas such as this fall in the $700 to $1,500 range. We also see that he was drawing a question mark in his coffee, which means I'm billing for the coffee and pie! Sick bastard! Back at the Goon Cave, we're starting to get a better idea of what's going on. There are a lot of books. Old ledgers filled to the brim with notes, ciphers, riddles, ramblings, ragings, you name it.
What are all these diaries?
They're ledgers. He's got thousands. He scrawled all over 'em, rambling ciphers, codes.
This is tricky. On the one hand, we have an easy-to-define metric to pull from. In the film Seven, John Doe has a similar library of mental depravity taking place on the pages of thousands of composition notebooks. Prop designers handmade every single one to give it a real lived-in feel. Likewise, the prop designers for the Batman had a field day creating each notebook by hand, writing down fun riddles and just losing their minds. Now, in-universe, this number of ledgers can't be cheap. But that's assuming Riddleman bought every single one. He might have had access to some if he had a job that brought him in and out of office buildings, for example. And true enough, he had such a job.
Edward Nashton works at KTMJ. He's a forensic accountant.
Accountant.
Bingo. So, we can take the figure for Seven's library and reduce it by a magnitude. I think this is a fair amount to charge for all the extra pens it would take to fill these up. Next, let's tear apart this apartment. Directly in front of Jim, we've got some sort of valve or vice device on a mannequin head. Next to it appears to be some inert C4, and on the wall is what looks like a lot of disassembled old phones. A lot of this can be considered electronics recycling, but we can charge for some of it. We've got a couple of component organizers filled with all sorts of electronics. Those can definitely go on the bill. Right up front, there's a magnifying soldering clamp, as well as a bike lock that looks like it might have been an early design for Gil's haute couture trap. I also count 5 master locks on the table and another code lock. I can't tell what the device to the right of the mask thing is. Kind of looks like an old projector. If you know what it is, let me know down below. Across the room, we've got, wow, like 30 more locks and some sort of gerbil tube mask with the words "No More Lies" painted on it. We'll charge for the leather straps and gerbil tubes. There's also another rat cage below and to the right of this device. A bat in a different cage hides one more card for Mr. Vengeance, as well as revealing that tool from the beginning of the movie. Oh my God. Okay, so this shot right here shows us another, what is that, 12 rat cages? How many more could there be in here? Okay. After rescanning the walls and training my eye to see cages for 6 hours, I think my count landed at 17 more cages. And no, I'm not charging for the rats. Riddler gives me Willard vibes. I think he summoned them. I'll call it at that, and I'm moving on. A cop over at yet another desk is trying to get into one of the Redditor's 2 laptops, and one of them is still logged into his alt account. The post is password protected, but our little content creator has been busy with his subscribers on secret projects. Wait, it's not what it sounds like. It's never what it sounds like!
Maybe this is all coming to an end.
The Riddler calls Jim and asks to see Batman at Arkham. That's a big ask. And Batman decides to go because, YOLO. Batman rolls up and the two can finally chit-chat. Riddleman is super jazzed to see him and then starts singing Bruce Wayne's name for some reason. It turns out Riddler hates rich people almost as much as Batman hates poor people. Oh, these two are not going to get along at all. Ooh, I guess he thought Batman was a poor.
He's the only one we didn't get. But we got the rest of them, didn't we?
Batman doesn't like hearing his assistant's name in Riddler's goddamn mouth and becomes increasingly uncomfortable. He tells him that rich people have feelings too, and while yes, Bruce Wayne is obscenely rich and can afford food and housing and therapy, his streamlined access to those necessities doesn't preclude an immunity to mental illness. For all we know, Bruce could be super into masochism and leather, or be a thrill seeker, an adrenaline junkie. Hell, he could be an actual junkie. The Riddler does not take well to this centrist rebuttal of the class war, but still tries to meet Batman halfway as an olive branch. Make him the Mario to his Luigi, if you catch my drift.
We're such a good team. We're not a team.
Batman tells the Riddler to suck bat eggs if he can even afford them. This breakdown in negotiations results in a breakdown in the Redditor.
No! This is not how this was supposed to go!
Turns out the Riddler was going to invite Batman to his Plex account. Get some beanbags, bro down.
We were gonna be safe here! We could watch the whole thing together.
Watch what?
Everything!
Damn, that's a big Plex library. What the hell, Vengeance? Why are you allergic to friends?
Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were.
Turns out Riddler left his password to the Plex server at his apartment, spelled out very clearly to Batman, but Batman can't read.
See that door right there? One marked pirate. You think a pirate lives in there? I see a door marked private. Is that the door you're talking about? No, I was talking. Yep. I didn't say. No. What did you hear?
Riddler's disappointment manifests into one final riddle, but he decides to give Mr. Vengeance the answer.
What's black and blue and dead all over?
Batman heads back to Riddler's apartment to think about what it all means, spotting 2 Polaroids on the cabinet door. I guess we're charging for a Polaroid camera now. A cop, actually the only smart cop on the force, correctly identifies the weapon used to murder the mayor.
Oh, it's a tucker.
A carpet tucker, you say? Ooh, you don't think the Riddler installed his own carpet, do you? Oh God, okay, so we get a brief overview of the Riddler's lament configuration of a home office, and you know what, actually, I think we did a pretty good job of calculating his collection of bullshit. I guess we could charge for the carpet Batman is pulling up. Rude. Cool! We've got a work light and another mannequin featuring a proto-trap up on that top shelf. Bill that. Oh wait, there's stuff under the rug. Oh neat! It's a map of Gotham, or part of Gotham, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 LEDs blinking intermittently. Batman enters the phrase on the floor into Riddler's laptop and, well, it turns out he's a bit more of a 4chaner than a Redditor. I call this final trap, finally. Let's observe our deep insecurities. We need some understanding, relaxation. At least no one's created rapid excavations or flood insurance. After thanking his followers for their support and advice,
special thanks to everyone for the tips on detonators.
The pieces are falling into place. Each of those bulbs represents a bomb placed near the seawall that surrounds Gotham. And baby, they are already a-blastin'. Now, our wide shot doesn't show 9 explosions, it shows about 5, but if we listen carefully, we can tick off, I think, 7 blasts. I take this to mean that the Riddler planted 9 explosive sites, expecting that a few might fail to go off. Knowing this, I'll go ahead and charge for 9 used vans. Now, you may be asking, Kitten Arcader, why would the terrorist purchase the vans instead of just renting them? Well, little one, I have some answers to that. First off, most U-Haul and U-Haul-like businesses will only rent you a vehicle for 24 hours. Sometimes you can rent them for up to 4 days, but I don't think that's enough time to load a van with explosives and park it next to a seawall, especially if Bomberman is expecting to be arrested and imprisoned very soon. No, what's more likely is the Riddler bought 9 used vans with terrible mileage, knowing he only had to load them up and get them into position. Now, there's a chance he could have had his goons, and goons he has, to get their own vans and set up for a big boom, but I don't get that vibe from Riddleman. Besides, his fellow gooners have their own business to attend to. So next up is, well, the boom. Oh, what to do about the boom? Well, we know Mr. Riddles is familiar with explosives, having only recently built a spicy necktie for the District Attorney of Gotham. But a seawall? Homie, seawalls are thick. They are built to survive the pressure of the ocean. Do you know how much pressure the ocean applies to a seawall? A lot, but it also depends on the kind of seawall we're working with. It looks like Gotham seawalls are vertical seawalls. Here's an illustration. These are okay. They suffer from erosion over time and are susceptible to damage from particularly intense waves over a long period of time, or if a lot of rain happens, and hey, hasn't it been raining for most of this movie? For reference, we can use New York City's seawall project. According to this phys.org article, the maximum height of the wall will reach 16.5 feet. I estimate the thickness to be around 2 to 3 feet thick, and it looks like a mix of rebar and concrete. It's pretty standard. It's worth noting that this current wall is still above sea level, whereas the wall in Gotham is definitely at to below sea level, as we can see in this still frame. If we slow down the explosion, we can determine the thickness of the wall to be what looks like 4 or 5 feet at least, but knowing what we know about seawalls, there's probably some underlying erosion that's taken place to weaken the wall over the years. And Riddler is taking advantage of that aging infrastructure. So, How much C4 do you need to blast a hole in a 4 to 5 foot thick wall of concrete and rebar? Well, it depends. If the wall is already weakened, as we suspect, then you'll need less than you think. There's also the benefit of the pressure of the ocean pushing on the wall, so you really just need enough impact to crack it. Now, if the Riddler arranged his C4 to project the explosion towards the wall, that would decrease the amount required significantly. Slowing down this scene even further, we see the explosion rock out of the van, giving the initial impact to the wall. We then see a secondary explosion come from the nearby building here, spreading the shock to the wall further down, permitting more concussive blast to work its way into the aging concrete and rebar. We can safely assume this is the model for each of the Riddler's explosive traffic jams, to ensure enough breaks form along the wall to achieve the damage he desires. I think it's safe to say that whatever amount of C4 he has in that van, he has an equal amount nearby as a secondary charge. Now, we know that 1 barrel's worth of C4 would cost him $283.22, of which only a small amount was needed for Gil's fashion statement. Let's say he used 3 barrels per van and another 3 nearby to provide a secondary boom to the vans. That's 6 barrels per point on the map, 9 points is 54 barrels of C4. That's approximately $12,863.88. Okay, on with the rest of the booms. The plan is simple. It's election night, and Mayor Real is, well, mayor now. She'll be celebrating at the Gotham equivalent of the Astrodome, or I guess Madison Square Garden, which will also be the shelter-in-place location for any natural disasters in Gotham. Now, the only problem is the dome is below sea level. So while the elite of Gotham are being shuttled deeper into the dome, high above, the Riddler's fellow gooners are culling the upper class. I don't think the Riddler bought them all their uniforms or guns or rock climbing equipment. I think he had his hands full, to be honest. Plus, as we've seen, pretty cheap to be a green man with a gun. Relatively, anyway. Batman zips over as fast as his little feet can carry him and starts punching the disenfranchised maniacs, maybe even killing a few. While he handles that, we can calculate the Riddler's damages for fun. So Green Man has achieved in an evening what Hurricane Sandy took a whole night to do to New York City back in 2012. For those who might not know, Hurricane Sandy landed on the east coast of the United States on the night of October 29th. New Yorkers were given about 4 days-ish notice of potential hurricane landing, given voluntary evacuations and the chance to batten down for the storm. Now, Sandy landed as a Category 1 hurricane with wind gusts up to 80 miles per hour. That's 130 clicks per hour for our metrics in the audience, and flooded large swaths of Manhattan Island. We don't see wind damage in Gotham, clearly, but boy howdy, we see flooding. Assuming Gotham normally sits below sea level, this makes sense. If the Riddler's bombs took off during high tide, this is catastrophic. How catastrophic? New York City suffered $19 billion in damages and economic losses due to Hurricane Sandy. That's billion with a B. B for Batman, who definitely just shot that guy. Considering the flooding in Gotham looks to be a bit steeper than Manhattan, but also considering that Gotham did not experience the wind and rain that Manhattan did, I think 19 billion is still a fair equivalent assessment of damages to the city, particularly with how we see the worst hit areas in the Penguin show. Ultimately, the film draws to a close on a somber note. Batman saves the mayor, stops the gooners in the ceiling, and assists in the search and rescue of thousands, if not tens of thousands of civilians affected by this event. It's hard to say whether the Riddler won or lost here. On the one hand, he will be remembered. On the other, his open war on the upper class of Gotham appears to be buried in the mud of his greatest riddle. But what's this? There's still one more thing to be gained on his account. A friend. And that's priceless. So, did the Riddler cash in on the green during his tenure as the host of Gotham's Jeopardy special? Or did his puzzles go bust like all his used vans up and down the seawall? Let's find out. In total, the Riddler spent approximately $45,770.76 in 2019. Adjusting for inflation, that's roughly $56,873.24 in 2025. our first official 2025 inflation calculation. Hooray! With that kind of money, you could buy 16 NVIDIA RTX 5090s. Pretty sure that's the entire North American stock right now. Our little green boy's cheapest trap was the Mayor's Headache and Drive, a combo caper, costing a grand sum of $86.29. While his most expensive was flood insurance because, well, you know. Since we're here, I estimate the damages the Riddler caused to Gotham to total approximately $19 billion in 2019, or $23,608,776,603.03 in 2025, or 1/16th Elon Musk's net worth. The world needs more Green Man. Now, on to the big question. Can the Riddler foot the bill? Well, we find out that the Green Meanie's day job is a forensic accountant. He's literally a money detective, using auditing, accounting, and analysis to examine financial crimes and produce legal evidence of financial wrongdoing. That sounds pretty cool. But how much do they make? In a big city like Gotham, the average salary for a forensic accountant sits somewhere in the range of $62,000 up to $89,000 per year. Quite the spread, with most earners sitting between $68,000 and $82,000. Given our bill of $45 grand on a salary of around 70 grand, it would be a tight fit, but if he buckles down, cooks at home, goes thrifting for new clothes, I think he can pull it off. It'll be tight, it'll need a lot of discipline, but I think the Riddler can foot the bill. Is the Riddler's budget a joke, just like his new neighbor? Do you want to see me put Batman through the ringer? This movie's 3 hours long. There's plenty left to cover. Let me know down below. I want to give a huge thank you to Annalise for editing this video and making sure my jokes land. We love making these videos for you, and that's why I also want to thank all of our YouTube and Patreon members. Your support means we can expand on this project into new realms. Be on the lookout for those new projects soon, or check out these videos in the meantime. As always, thank you so much for watching. After all, I'm here to make stuff if you're here to watch.